A criticism some people have towards the WWE is that its style is too easy to work out even before a match takes place. Whether that's true or not is down to the individual, but it's fair to say if you tuned into Raw or SmackDown, you know what to expect. Sometimes. Like most television products, sometimes it can be all too easy to show your hand and allow fans to work out what's going to go down before it does. But that just means when you can surprise them, you get a far better reaction than you first imagined. It also keeps the product fresh because it goes to show no matter how much you think you know, you can never be aware of everything. It's what makes wrestling so much fun. I'm Simon from WhatCulture and this is 10 wrestling matches that were nothing like you expected. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to stay notified. Ding, ding, done. Number 10, El Torito vs Hornswoggle at Extreme Rules 2014. I mean, you were more than allowed to think this was going to be a pile of crap. WWE's track record with this type of thing has never been great, and no one thought 2014's WLC was going to be any different. If anything, it would represent a new low when it came to comedy, but that isn't what happened. Instead, WWE went all in on this and gave it plenty of respect. The commentators were little people, as were the announcers, but they weren't punchlines, which was the worry beforehand. There was nothing mean-spirited about it at all, apart from Jerry Lawler's commentary. This went for the match as well. Torito's unexpected aerials were crisp and well received, and 3MB, who were ringside, committed to the shtick and even took some bumps. Things even got quite violent. Hornswoggle flattened Torito through the mini announce table in a very decent spot, and when all was said and done, this was just a good solid fight, even though yes, it was called WLC. Number 9, Toru YANO vs Tomohiro ISHII at New Japan G1 Climax 2018. Toru YANO stretched his comedy act to breaking point in the G1 tournaments of old. The guy is damn entertaining in a vacuum, a total heel who's too much of a fun and endearing chancer to hate, but beating Shibata with a roll-up was just plain hard to buy, and that was the problem. This is why Yano went a different route in 2018, promising to wrestle in a fair and competitive way, which he did to unexpectedly brilliant effect. Only cheating when thoroughly beaten, it was impossible not to throw your support behind the guy. In his first B-block match, he faced stablemate tag team partner and man with a rock-hard head Tomohiro Ishii in a tough exchange of fighting spirit that became an awesome story of the scolded dog having his day. Given you'd be forgiven thinking this was going to be nothing more than a big haha, it was brilliant really, and great all work around by New Japan. Number 8, The Big Show vs Kane at Raw. In 2006, Kane and Big Show were staples of the WWE. They were stars in their own right and really could get away with whatever they wanted. Probably happening as creative ran out of ideas of what to do with them, the pair were eventually put together, mostly so we could split them up, because that's how it goes in WWE. That happened on the 8th of May 2006 during Raw, and most of us thought the match that followed would be a lumbering typical big man match that was more of a novelty than anything else. Just two big dudes smacking each other before doing it all over again. What we received instead was an unexpected World of Sport style contest as Show and Kane actually chain wrestled. Admittedly, it wasn't the smoothest you'd ever seen, but it was interesting and fresh, two words hardly associated with the Big Red Machine and the former Giant. Kane even did a Big Daddy version of Johnny Saint's WS style, and it was a bit like jumping in a time machine for one Monday night in the mid-2000s. Go and watch this now, you'll be surprised. Number 7, Bret Hart vs Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 12. In many ways, Shawn Michaels vs Bret Hart at WrestleMania 12 was the perfect match for what was then known as the New Generation era. Promising pure, unabashed wrestling for a period of time we didn't usually see within the WWE, it was like watching two technical wizards trying to outdo each other. While it certainly left a mark with a lot of us, and for me personally it's one of my favourite memories, when you do revisit it in 2018 it's not quite how history remembers, and in many ways is a bit dull. This was always going to be a bit of a risk given they went an hour, and you can't say it was bad. It wasn't if you could do what the Hitman and HBK did. But yes, given how things have evolved and how this went at the time, it wasn't as expected, especially as we went the whole 60 minutes without a single fall. A debatable topic then, and one that will likely go on for years to come. Number 6, John Cena vs Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam 2014. Still one of my favourite matches simply because it was so unexpected. This was technically the second time Brock Lesnar had destroyed John Cena. The first came at Extreme Rules 2012, which was a truly gruesome encounter in a WWE world which had long forgotten such ways. The problem, however, was that Lesnar lost. It doesn't matter how much you beat somebody up if when all is said and done you got your shoulders pinned to the mat. This continued when Brock clashed with Triple H, so nobody thought much of the main event for SummerSlam 2014. Oh, how little we knew. CENA has always been protected, and it was no different a few years ago. There was the odd loss here and there, but he certainly didn't go down cleanly. Which is why when he basically got squashed here as Lesnar German suplexed him around for fun and then pinned him for the WWE title, nobody could quite believe it. Within seconds, Brock's character had been revived, the monster vibe was back, and he went on a tear from that point, which really is still going on today. The Beast felt like a true legitimate warrior that no one could take down without a serious scrap. It's kinda true. Number 5, HIROMU Takahashi vs Kushida at New Japan Sakura Genesis 2017. New Japan Pro Wrestling wants you to enjoy their product as if it was a real sport. That's why whenever the company deviates from the norm, those moments are shocking because usually it's business as usual. An example of one of these twists came in the Junior Heavyweight Championship match at Sakura Genesis 2017 because it felt different, even if ultimately Booker Gedo achieved the opposite of his original aim. Kushida attacked Takahashi from the opening bell, flattening him with a somersault plancher. He wanted to push Hiromu's buttons as soon as possible, but it was to his detriment. Takahashi, in a performance that fused his style together perfectly, did well not to concuss his opponent with the most gruesome looking version yet of his sunset flip powerbomb before punishing him with 2 time bombs and taking a shocking sub 2-minute win. The crowd couldn't believe it. That just wasn't what happened in New Japan. Kushida, as planned, recovered with a career redefining Best of the Super Juniors win before reclaiming the title at Dominion, and all of this kind of felt real because yes, it was such a shake-up from what we were used to. And that's why companies should do more of this. It keeps the audience on their toes. Number 4, Brock Lesnar vs Randy Orton at SummerSlam 2016. There were a few things we could have hoped for when Lesnar clashed with Orton at the hottest event of the summer. An F5 into an RKO, some German suplexes, Randy wiggling around like he was a snake. That was all par for the course. What wasn't was a deliberate concussion. After Lesnar had reversed an Orton punt, he seemingly got super mad and took his gloves off. He then spied Randy's skull and started hacking away at his forehead with his elbows in what remains a truly sickening scene. It's just a man trying to bust somebody else open. Forget the main event, I don't think anybody expected this from WWE TV in general. It worked because of course it did, and after all was said and done, Orton was diagnosed with a concussion because of course he was. The worst bit was the blood seeping from Randy's wound as well. It was thick and gloopy as if Lesnar had found his way right to the skull. I'd be alright with never seeing anything like this again. Number 3, Al Snow vs the Big Boss Man at WWF Unforgiven 1999. I don't really know what anybody expected from the Kennel from Hell match, but in hindsight I think we can say this is likely among the worst ideas that were pitched during the Attitude Era. The classic blue steel cage was surrounded by the huge Hell in a Cell while attack dogs roamed around ringside. It sounds good when you're just saying it out loud, but in theory it was never going to work, and it didn't. What was strange is that the Big Boss Man featured despite being killed at WrestleMania 15 a few months prior in the same setting, and the thing fell apart when the animals, having no clue they were part of a wrestling spectacle, just decided to act like dogs. Because, you'll be surprised to hear, they were dogs. They pooed everywhere, seemed disinterested as Vince McMahon's Heavy and Al Snow smashed each other with a bunch of weapons. The old saying has always been don't work with children and animals, and this is why. You never know what they're going to do, and if you did, this would be the last thing you'd ever want. Number 2, The Undertaker vs Batista at WrestleMania 23. When The Undertaker and Batista clashed at WrestleMania 23, the general consensus was it might be okay, but no one was that excited. Big Dave wasn't having his best run at the time, and the Phenom was kind of trying to refine himself. It seems WWE thought this as well as they scheduled their World Championship fight for halfway through the show, which in hindsight was a huge mistake. Together they delivered a full-on thriller as their chemistry shone bright among mammoth blows, incredible near-falls, and a sense this could end at any time. It was easy to believe both were fighting for a prize they deemed worthy of putting everything on the line for. It went around 15 minutes and barely let up 2 as Taker and Batista took any expectations and threw them out the window. This was great, you know what? Still is. Number 1, The Undertaker vs John Cena at WrestleMania 34. Let's get this out there straight away. I liked all of this. To Cena running backstage to a lie as to how short it was, I thought it made a very long show damn entertaining. From the moment John arrived thinking he had a match before being told his opponent wasn't even in the building, to the Drifter tricking everyone with a very well put together lights out moment, it was just fun and a reminder of what wrestling is able to do. It's a piece of art unto itself. It got better given that when Taker and Cena did clash, the latter got his ass whipped. It barely went 3 minutes, and seeing the poster boy of the WWE beaten that easily by a legend was the finish no one expected. But that's why it worked. It took all suspicions and ignored them so 2 heroes of wrestling could create a moment I think we'll all chat about for a while. I loved it then, and I still love it now. Know of any other wrestling matches that were nothing like we expected? Make sure you let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Then head over to WhatCulture.com and read yourself some articles, and follow WhatCulture on Twitter at WhatCulture WWE. My name is Simon from WhatCulture, and I will talk to you again soon.